That rings a bell.
It's showtime, folks.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another splendiferous episode of Into the Music. I'm here with your host, Greg, who has a tasty morsel for me. Greg, how you doing?
I'm doing well, and I'm actually more educated than I was before, because splendiferous, what?
Splendiferous? I think that's a sugar substitute. Splendiferous.
New word for me. Yeah. Well, I think I am doing splendiferously. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I hope I can make you even more with this song I'm going to give you. So here we go. The Sound Defects. Do you know the group?
I do not. It does not ring any bells or even finger cymbals.
You know a lot of stuff, a lot of groups. So in a way, I wouldn't have been surprised if you did know this group, but then I'm not surprised that you don't, because they don't seem to have a lot of traction as far as information, wiki, the whole thing. But I came across this about a year ago. This and a couple of the songs too from them, and I'm hooked. And I try to oh my God, and then I listen to like 20 seconds. I put it in my queue, and then I'm going to listen to it myself and maybe give it to. I couldn't help it. I actually went back to it and over to the point where I'm like, I don't think I should really react to it by myself. React to it myself. I got to give it to somebody. So I'm giving it to you. The Sound Defects, and the name of the song is War.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it doesn't sound like you know it at all. So why don't you go check it out and come on back and tell me how much it sucked.
I shall return to sweet.
Hi, man.
Sound Defects. War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again. That rings a bell. I'm sure that is a sample from the Zombies. I cannot remember the name of the song, but it was just an organ about some guy going off to war, and it's that I can't stop shaking. My arms can't stop shaking. My hands can't stop shaking. My mind can't stop shaking. And is it something like, all I want to do is go home? It's really horrific. We think someone in the situation of war. Really nice beat as well. This is good.
Every effort of your government
that guitar's lovely, twangy, and then it kicks back in with the beat. I'm gonna have to pull that back a wee bit. I have no idea. Let's go for this. Yeah.
We will gain the inevitable triumph, so help us God.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, that was a blast. That was.
Come on.
I was just trying to read my notes, and I was like, "Oh God, what have I scratched here?" I might as well use goat entrails rather than
Oh,
writing.
I know. I'm terrible too. Yeah, I think my handwriting's worse than yours. Yeah. We should have been doctors.
Right. I know. I used to be a gynecologist. I still like to keep my hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least I played one every time I was at a hotel. All right, here we go. All right. You're there. All right. Knock it off.
We're doing this in 3D.
So what'd you think?
Yes. I it's a bit of a no-brainer, but I really liked it. I mean, obviously with that beat, I mean, how could you not? It's really interesting. It kicked off, and almost immediately it reminded me of there was another band who didn't do the same sort of music, but called the Avalanches, and they did a really huge album, and it was all sampled stuff, and it was great. And then I realized after a wee bit that I recognized the main sample from this song. It's Zombies.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, there was quite a while ago, but I was really hooked on the Zombies for a bit, and I couldn't tell you the name of the song. It's off that
Butcher's Tale, Western Front, 1914.
Right, it's off the Odyssey and Oracle album, is it?
Off the, it's not giving me the album. Yes, no, it is 1968, Odyssey and Oracle. Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name of the song, but I remember the album. Yeah, and I remember the song. I've not heard it in 10 years or more, probably, but I remember it being really haunting, and it's just, and it's just an organ and him singing, and he has that, I can't stop shaking, my arms can't stop shaking, my hands can't stop shaking, my mind can't stop shaking, and then I think he says, "I just want to go home" in the original song, and it's really affecting. And there's other bits to it, but it's just horrible, really.
Yeah,
this guy's caught up in the middle of a war, and again with this, it's quite interesting because it's got this stellar beat to it. I mean, it's just so, the groove really goes. It's fantastic, and then you've got this over the top, which is quite upsetting lyrics, really. This guy, I don't know if it's in shell shock or what, but it's So if you don't know the original song, you think maybe he can't stop shaking because he's feeling the music and he's in a groove or whatever. But it isn't, because it's called War, and it's so. And then they've got all the samples as well in there, and I didn't recognize any of them at all. Not that I'm an expert on samples of sort of World War II, I'm guessing, sort of speak, but
So let me ask you though. So because I was not aware of the zombie song before I listened to this. It was only afterwards that I kind of, okay. You would think that I had all this time to kind of dig into the zombie song and listen to that. I have not. So is this part here when he's singing in this song, in this one, is that just taken from that zombie song, or is there someone just kind of sing? Okay. And I think that's why, and I kind of thought so, because I think that's why when I listened to this, it was kind of haunting to me. It grabbed me, and it didn't grab me. I mean, the sound is the sound. I mean, that's fantastic. But I immediately took the lyrics and the way they were sung, like someone in distress, someone who is meeting they're coming to the end. They're coming, to a real moment here where, it's really,
it's crisis point, isn't it?
It's crisis. That's the right. And again, I can't stop shaking. My hands won't stop shaking. My heart won't stop shaking. I mean, that too, my heart, my mind won't stop shaking, and I can't stop shaking. And I've seen movies, you read books, and you just picturing someone in war, the bullets are flying, you're in that moment right there, and you could just, in another second, you're gone. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I felt it. And that's the thing. So I never thought, even with that great groove and that vibe and like that, and it's so good. But what was coming out, what was being sung, grabbed me. And those songs are amazing, because you're feeling one way, but you're torn the other way.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's almost surreal. You're like, what the hell? Like, I'm feeling this, but and the music is just kind of taking you. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if the music's original or if it's sampled. I think from the way it was flowing, I'm guessing it's sampled music as well, because it was very clean. I had that sort of loopy quality to it, but it was really, really nice guitar, quite twangy but trippy as well, and it had that touch of psychedelia to it as well.
Yeah.
So it's really nice groove to the music. But as you say, I kind of remember. See, the zombies I was really, really taken with was Time of the Season. I think it's one of my favorite songs. I just absolutely love it, and that's off this album, so that's why I checked it out. So this song, Butcher's Tale, I remember listening to it 3 or 4 times, and I remember you said it correct. I think you said from the title it's World War I, which back then they dealt with a lot of shell shock in particular. So you had these people, and they didn't know how to deal with it either. They're just people presenting with these symbols, and they were branded cowards or people trying to get out or fighting, when basically they were in shock or post-traumatic stress disorder we know now. They didn't know any of them back then. And they tried to treat them with swirling, they used to put these goggles on them with swirling sort of swirls of color. And it's almost like a hypnotic thing. And they reckoned that would sort them out. Of course, it did nothing. They did all sorts of weird stuff, So it's somebody right at the end of their tether, but they're in a situation where they can't do anything. They're caught in the middle of warfare. And you can just say, I've had enough, I quit. But the only thing you do is stand up and wait for someone to shoot you through the head, your side or theirs, if you're in the trenches in World War I, that's about the only way out. It's horrible, but it's really, really interesting song. I didn't know about any of the samples, because there's a bit in the middle when it breaks down and there's like a bit of a speech, and I couldn't make it out, but I didn't recognize it. So I'm guessing that that's like an American, as opposed to, if it's British, it'd be Winston Churchill. You know it straight away.
Are you talking about, because there's a couple of them. There's one that's kind of very low key, and
Yes.
sounds American, and you
Yeah.
really have to kind of what. And then there's one a little bit later that might be Franklin Delano and Roosevelt. You know,
I just wondered if that was Roosevelt.
that sounds like Roosevelt. Yeah, yeah. So
I can't remember hearing him speak, but I just, it would make sense if it was him, you know.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, right.
so from that, I'm guessing that it's an American band. But if it's all sampled, I mean, quite often with these sort of things, it's one guy who puts it all together.
Well,
but with the band or one guy or whatever. I
it
guess
might
it's American.
it might be the latter, and it might be maybe like one person. It could be because think about it, right? I can't find it on Wiki, like the sound effects, like. I mean, 99.9% of the time when I'm doing these reactions, I'm able
Yeah.
to, find the band, even like the project, I'm able to find, information on Wiki. They're not on Wiki. So it's interesting. It might have just been some mixer producer that just kind of, or it might have been a bunch of folks just kind of just getting together and putting this out called
Yeah.
sound defects, whatever, which is why I probably, and I joke around a lot about it, I get like 50 views, but I don't, I don't care. This is a really good song. I'm glad I shared it with you. I'm glad you listened to it.
Powerful, really powerful.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, John. You know that I go out of, I'm trying, and it's not like you and Andy are gonna like everything that I send you. Even though I've been pretty good lately, but I'm always trying to, something is like, wow, I wonder what John would think about this. That's the truth, and the same thing with Andy. So I'm really glad. And again, it was the sound too. Like I know that you are, the little that I know of you, there's that kind of very sort of that attachment, gravitation to a real good beat. But you also like things interesting too. And I thought this really offered both,
Yeah, this is the sort of thing that I would definitely, seek out and listen to, because it's got that interest and it's got that groove. And then, me, I'm a groove machine.
Well, you're groovy. You are. Groovy
Yeah,
guy.
baby.
You do that so well. With that said, you want to take us out?
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing this with me, Greg, and traumatizing me. It's been fantastic. I hope that everybody else, yes, I hope that everybody else enjoyed it as much as I did. If you do, please drop us a line. Tell us what you think. Like, subscribe, send money, whatever you want to do.
Bing, 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 bing. Smash that like button. Smash it.
Yes, what he said. And hopefully we'll see all of you next time on Into the Music.
Into the Music.